we've seen some ridiculous things by the DNI, by the FBI, by the CIA, and you say ex-CIA Mike Morrell, but you've got to understand these people never actually leave the CIA unless they die. That's really what the situation is with them. I looked at what Drudge had on his site as far as the agent's report supposedly on that, and it's pretty obvious that I'm going to say it's unprofessional and ridiculous the way it was written. But be that as it may, the point is that the CIA has been at war with the American people for a long time. And it's part of the New World Order, part of the international banking system. That's who they answer to. That's what I've told you before. And you can find that out on your own. We could go through all the terrible things the CIA has done, and I'm not here to document all those. It's easy to find out. They have, just like Eisenhower said, their legacy is a legacy of ashes, not of building things up, not even our own country. I heard Mike Morrell and some of these other guys say, it's wrong for Trump to attack the patriotism or to question the patriotism of the CIA and the people that work there. Well, I'm sorry, but and I don't. It's not good to equate them with Nazis, even though they act like Nazis. But the fact of the matter is that Nazis that were soldiers for the Nazi Germany army, I'm sorry, you do that, you go along with that whether you're forced or not, and you're the enemy. I'm sorry. If you want to come forward and make things right, well then do that. But to have Mike Morrell say that questioning the patriotism of the CIA and those that are in there is wrong of Trump, there's an old statement. The defense of patriotism is the last refuge of a scoundrel. Okay, so, and I've quoted Cicero before about, doing things for the country. It might be courageous, but it's not moral. Then it's worthless. Anyway, so we see all these attacks by principally the CIA. It's all being quarterbacked by the CIA. And as I've said, myriads of people in the government and corporations around the world are actually CIA agents or assets, and they're all in it for power and money. I tweeted out yesterday that Trump really does need to go after the CIA. I have a trusted friend that I talk to in the late night hours, and I'm the soldier. I'm the gung ho guy. Let's go do this. And he's more of the thoughtful advisor in the background. And he's saying, well, look, in fact, Trump can't probably do this in his first term. He's got so many other things on his plate. One is just to stay alive. The Secret Service, I guess he's having some help from them to harden the White House and some other things, because he really has enemies in the CIA, for real. I just hope that there aren't too many of those moles in the Secret Service, but I'm afraid there are. So Trump needs to be very careful and to make sure that he has his own private security helping him. People that he's vetted. Even then, there's an old statement, every man has his price, right? Anyway, so getting back to what I tweeted out last night, if at some point in time when the military is solidly behind him, because this is an internal enemy, the CIA is an internal enemy. As a matter of fact, they're an enemy to all mankind. We have intelligence services in the Army and the Navy and the Air Force. We really don't need the CIA. It's now become a law unto itself, and I think we're seeing that. So again, getting back to the tweet that I did last night. The tweet is basically, and I sent it to Trump, I sent it to Roger Stone and some others, that that has to be on President Trump's agenda, that the CIA needs to be dismantled. And you know, with all of the funds that they've been able to obtain in their ill-gotten ways over the many years, from drug trafficking to child and sex slave trafficking to weapons trafficking to blackmail to skimming off the surface of the Defense Department, which is what I mentioned about when Donald Rumsfeld came out the day before 9/11, 2001 and said, oh, you know, we're missing all this money. Shadow government has it, and a good place to start to find it, although I imagine a lot of it is in Swiss bank accounts, etc., but also in hidden vaults, probably in several different places. Take some time to investigate where this money is, this fortune of the CIA's. Dismantle the CIA and get that money and use it for rebuilding the infrastructure in the United States, helping to build the wall, you know, whatever, offset other public expenses, reparations to those who the CIA has damaged in some way or another, and there have been lots of ways, and not directly. They use their surrogates, of course, the MSM, the courts, the fleas, federal law enforcement agencies, whatever. And that would be left up for Trump to do, but I think that's the way that we could tell the CIA what's left of it after all this occurs, that we're not going to put up with this anymore. They have too much that they can use to influence everything that happens in the United States and in the world, and it's wrong. I want you to know that, you know, a lot of you have heard about Albert Pike and others, and all I'll say is this: is that back in the 1800s, this plan was in place a long time ago. These people work over generations because they have an understanding of things that, what would I say, the children of light don't really consider, because we're not planning evil, you know, for long periods of time. But they do make their plans over generations. And back in the 1800s, and possibly before, but I know of this in the 1800s, they talked about these secret societies that would be able to obtain all this power. And you know, you could just call that intelligence agencies. That's another way of saying it. Everything the CIA does is a national security thing, right? It's ridiculous. All they do is stamp national security on it, and then they say we don't even have to tell Congress about it, or whomever, you know. We can guard against anybody finding out about our criminal conduct by putting national security on it. These are secret societies, and they should not operate in the secret except in very limited frames, very limited bounds. Unfortunately, right now, it's unlimited because they really don't answer to anybody, and that needs to change. So I was planning on coming out with what I called an op plan to go about this, but it would be improper of me to suggest to President Trump how to go about this. And plus, I probably don't know the best way, obviously. But the end result should be the end of the CIA and the seizure of all of its financial and real estate assets, everything that it has, and all of those monies used for the repair of infrastructure in the United States, you know, whatever. That would be up to them. But the point is to use it for some of the programs that Donald Trump is talking about. So I'll leave that here for right now. I will tweet this out here for now.